Anyway, what happens when Liz Truss resign and how will the new prime minister be chosen? I'm going to talk about that right now. Let's get to the fucking news, okay? All right. So a lot of you don't know this, but what ends up happening is you have to go to this platform at London's Grand Central Station, whatever it's called. And on the platform, there's a half platform. You have to run through it with your baggage, okay? Which will magically transform you to this beautiful, wonderful place called Hogwarts. So when you get there, all of the candidates for prime minister sit down underneath a talking hat. You put the talking hat on, and it basically reads everything about your personality. Okay? It knows everything about your personality, what your future prospects are, and where you fit perfectly. That hat will decide who the next prime minister is. Now, they want to keep this a secret, but here at the HasanAbi broadcast, of course, I'm going to talk about the truth, the real truth about England, okay? Which is that they're waiting for the hat. That's what's going on. All right, so
happy to be here.
Let's talk about Liz Truss, who is now resigning as the UK Prime Minister after 44 days. This is a world record. She will also be making 115k quid a year for the rest of her life because England is not a real country, nor is it a real place. Let's take a look at what's going on.
Begin with breaking news from Britain, one of America's closest allies, where the still new prime minister announced just a short time ago that she will step down after an uproar in Parliament and an uproar in her own party. Liz Truss, she took over from Boris Johnson just in early September. She will now be replaced in a new leadership election. The upheaval threatens to undermine Britain's pivotal role in the global economy, not to mention NATO. And our Remy Inocencio has made his way to 10 Downing Street. That's the Prime Minister's headquarters in London. Remy, good morning. Quite a whirlwind.
That's right.
Yes,
Liz
it
Truss
is
now the UK's
a whirlwind.
shortest-serving prime minister. Following months of political chaos and growing uncertainty, she will remain in office as a lame duck premier here at 10 Downing Street until a successor is named. Her resignation was widely rumored, but this announcement still came as a shock.
Given the situation, I cannot deliver the mandate on which I was elected by the Conservative Party.
What mandate, bro? She tried to do Thatcherite shit and got fucking absolutely cumstered in the middle of this, like, inflationary period. There's instability in the country. She came in after even Boris Johnson, who was our wonderful best boy, Boris, all right. Even after Boris tried his darndest to save the UK, to save England, and failed.
Smile.
She came in and tried to do Boris's legacy, and immediately tried to do tax cuts on the wealthy during an energy crisis.
I have therefore spoken to His Majesty the King to notify him that I am resigning as leader of the
She also
Conservative
killed the
Party.
Queen, so there's that.
Leader for just 6.
It's wild that she literally came in, killed the Queen, tanked the UK economy, and dipped out. Like I said on the Leftovers episode, which many of you have not actually been able to fucking see because it was taken down, I'll be real with you. I'm going to repeat some of those jokes there. Liz Truss is a radical Marxist fifth column agent, okay? She intercepted the Tory party, knew that, like, it would have been infinitely harder to, take over England through the Labour Party side, took over from the Tory party, killed the Queen, tanked the UK economy, and then fucking peaced out, okay? And she did it for Ireland. I'll say it at the top of the fucking hour. She did it for Ireland, ladies and gentlemen. Because at the top of the hour, there's a 60-second ad break. And Liz Truss knows that there's a 60-second ad break at the top of the hour every hour. And if you no longer want to see those ads, ladies and gentlemen, boys, girls, and NBs, all you need to do is subscribe, which you can do for $5, 5 quid, or you can do it for free. Or you can get gifted a sub. Like Alex Franco AV and Sohei Bozo just gifted 5 subs, respectively, allowing 10 people to no longer see the ads. There's a lettuce out there that outlived Liz Truss's prime ministerial reign. King's Crimson, Thank you for the 5 gifted subs. Here's the 1 minute ad break now.
21 months.
She's an agent, ladies and gentlemen. Liz Truss's father and mother. Liz Truss's father and mother were both Marxists. Radical Marxists, I tell you.
12 months has.
Old Arabs 2 by 2.
People to sign up using the link below will get 20% off an annual premium subscription. Since 40 days in power, Truss has hit the lowest approval rating of any Prime Minister since polling began, gifted Labour a steady 30-point lead over the Conservatives, and
with a wet napkin, a wet noodle in charge of the Labour Party too. Remember, Keir Starmer absolutely fucking sucks. So that's how bad Liz Truss was. And I'll be honest, England deserved this, okay? The UK, you deserved it. Not many of you in the UK will disagree with what I'm saying here, but it's almost identical to the American story of Bernie Sanders. You had a wonderful person who was genuine, who was a decent human being, who had too big of a moral compass. Sure, there were some flubs within his campaign within the Labour Party, and I'm of course talking about Jezza, okay? The Corbyn himself, the man, the myth, the legend. He was incredible. He was wonderful, and he was too good for this. Too good for the UK, and they fucking ousted him. They destroyed him. They destroyed his reputation, and then and then basically put Keir Starmer in a position of power. Keir Starmer is a neoliberal Labour representative. Check out top of the hour bot, 929 out of 10. Let's fucking go, dude. ASAP WAP, thank you for the 5 gifted subs as well, by the way. So now here's the situation at hand.
Apparently single-handedly crashed the UK economy. The UK's borrowing costs, which used to be among the lowest in the G7, have spiked to historic highs, forcing a desperate intervention by the Bank of England. And the UK all of a sudden looks worryingly vulnerable to a full-on financial crisis. Now, that's a lot to understand, and we've seen people in the comments, especially from outside the UK, asking how this has all happened, how it went wrong so quickly. So in this video, we're going to try our best to explain, well, how all of this happened. How in literally the space of a month, Truss has turned the UK from a low-growth but stable economy into the basket case it's apparently become.
Well, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you how I will.
We're going to start this story with the Conservative leadership election to replace Boris Johnson, which began in mid-July.
I'll tell you why I will.
Conservative MPs had narrowed down the field of candidates to just 2. Then Chancellor Rishi Sunak, an old-school fiscal conservative who essentially represented the moderate wing of the party, and the then Foreign Secretary, Liz Truss, an avowed libertarian who made her name among the Tory membership by taking conspicuously hawkish positions on all things Brexit. Now, it's worth noting that during this time, Truss wasn't particularly popular with either the general public or Conservative MPs. As for
most successful libertarian, I know. I mean, oh, boo-hoo, right. Fucking Liz Truss, man. Also, here's another classic Catholic Brandon, Dark Brandon Rises meme. Excellent work, Agent Truss. The Queen is dead, the British economy is destroyed, and the Tory party is in shambles. You can resign now. You've done your fucking job. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Dark Brandon rises once again. From the moment that he first said, BBC, I'm Irish, to the last breath he'll take in office, Dark Brandon has decided to strike the first blow of the death toll, of the death knell of the British Empire.
Secretary, her approval rating with the general public sat steady at about -10%, and not that many MPs voted for her in the runoff rounds of the leadership election. In the final round, for example, Truss got only 113.
What? Official offline chat wide hardo. You still support kids being raped by Reuters? What the fuck? Brother, Where? What the fuck? Dude, you are... I don't even know what to say to like...
2 months, love you.
I don't even
Hasan
know what to
and Chef
say about
Hasan
these dudes,
Hassel.
bro. Take your medication, dog. What the fuck's wrong with you? You should not be online right now, my friend. You should be seeking help immediately. And if you haven't taken your meds, you should be taking your medication because you are posting some insane shit in the chat.
Deal.
Okay? Here, I'm going to ban you for your own good. Like, I get it. A lot of people make stuff up about me, and then they come into the chat, and they're like, well, you know, you're a bad person. You love Vladimir Putin or whatever the fuck. But some of them actually unironically turn into,
Everyone forgot about
you know,
Brexit cake.
they just, like, break their brains. Holy fuck, dude. Jesus Christ.
Votes, representing barely 30% of all MPs. And it's worth saying that even that number likely overstates her real support within the parliamentary party, because some of those 113 MPs will have supported her knowing that she was likely to win the membership vote, and therefore were primarily voting for her with the hope of getting a job in her government as a reward for their support. Nonetheless,
please, sir,
while Truss
can I
wasn't
have
very
a
popular
cabinet
with
position,
MPs or the general public, Truss was very popular with the Conservative membership, regularly topping Conservative home polling and maintaining an approval rating of above 50%. While Sunak was originally popular with Conservative members, after his national insurance hike and perceived disloyalty to Boris Johnson, he quickly became one of their least favourites. Regardless, though, the final rounds of this campaign...
So the funniest thing is that these are like between the party members, right? And obviously the broader population has like a genuine disdain. But what's hilarious about this is that like Boris Johnson was able to withstand a lot of this for many, many years, regardless of the fact that he is just as big as a demon as these people are, maybe even more racist, as a matter of fact. Like Liz Truss is more of a lib than anything else, where she's like, and I mean liberal in the sense that like, you know, she has right-wing economic perspectives, maybe not as much on the racism side, you know what I mean? Like, she doesn't hyper-focus on that shit. Boris, on the other hand, straight up was like insane. Like, I mean, he was just balls to the fucking wall, but that kind of weird right-wing populism, and but what I mean by that is just like straight up, open, unhinged racist takes, made Boris Johnson withstand the attacks regardless of his Tory party-backed austerity measures, right? Like, they just thought he was just a bumbling fool, and they saw him as like a lovable bumbling fool. And Truss was batshit too. I mean, of course, she's a Tory. I'm not saying she wasn't right-wing conservative. I'm just stating that the main message for Liz Truss, the main thing that had staying power for Liz Truss at a time when, you know, there's the railway strikes that are looming, that are slated to restart once again, and, you know, she has taken over a suffering conservative party, was the immediate Thatcherite economic proposals that she tried to state to implement. And that was what was leading the papers. That was what was leading in the papers. That's what people were talking about. They saw her as a neoliberal wannabe Thatcherite at a time when the British economy was already fucking up. If they had seen her as like a racist, that probably would have played a significant advantage in at least the Tory audience and the party membership, because then you're not focusing on the econ aspect. You're not focusing on the austerity. You're not focusing on the tax cuts for the extremely wealthy, right? Because then everyone is only talking about how racist she is, and that as a tool is successful when it comes to drawing support from your membership.
Between Sunak and Truss were primarily fought on the issue of tax. Truss said that she cut taxes across the board, while Sunak accused her of fiscal irresponsibility and said that her policies would exacerbate inflation, forcing up interest rates and mortgage costs. It's worth watching what was actually said during the campaign too, because, well, in retrospect, Sunak looks impressively prescient.
Pressing economic priority for the new Prime Minister and the new government is to grip inflation. We cannot make it worse. Inflation is the enemy that makes everybody poorer. It erodes your savings. It erodes your living standards. It means that those of you that have mortgages will see your interest rates go up higher and higher.
That's a proper fit bird in it. Let's be right then. And yes, I'm talking about Sunak. Yeah, he's good looking.
So I don't think the responsible thing to do right now is launch into some unfunded spree of borrowing and more debt. That will just make inflation worse. It will make the problem longer.
Let's be clear. We have inflation because of our monetary policy, that we haven't been tough enough on the monetary supply. That's the way I would address that issue. Okay. But it is wrong.
Interest rates up, mortgages nightmare.
It is.
Liz, we have to be honest. We have to be honest. But borrowing your way out of inflation isn't a plan, it's a fairy tale.
Nonetheless, Truss's pre-existing popularity within the Conservative Party membership and her tax-cutting policy programme eventually prevailed, and she won the final round of the contest with 57% of the members' vote. As a result, she became Prime Minister on September 6th, but her policy agenda was almost immediately delayed by the death of the Queen, which happened just 2 days later. This period...
Yeah, after she met with her, remember, the Queen took one final meeting. I will never let anyone live this down. The Queen took one final meeting, okay? And that was with Liz Truss, a diehard, lifelong anti-monarchist, okay? For all of her faults and failures, for her obvious disdain for the working poor, she was definitely an anti-monarchist. Like, openly talked about it, and in college, and there's many interviews that she's conducted on it. And then the Queen died shortly after.
The period of mourning then lasted until September 20th, with Parliament resuming on Wednesday, September the 21st. However, on that Wednesday and Thursday, Truss was preoccupied by the annual UN Assembly, which was being held in New York. Then, on Friday 23rd, Truss arrived back in London, just in time to watch Chancellor Kwasi Kwarteng deliver the much-anticipated mini-budget. This mini-budget included a whole load of pre-announced tax cuts, but also a whole load of surprise tax cuts too. All in all, these plans were set to cost the Treasury.
That's my favourite, it is. Surprise is tax cuts. Surprise tax cuts, my favourite.
About $45 billion. On top of this, Truss refused to publish the Office of Budgetary Responsibilities analysis into her plans, and didn't commit to any spending cuts in order to fund them. As a result, the markets balked at these unfunded, unannounced, and unsupervised tax cuts, and by Friday afternoon, the pound had plunged to a 37-year low against the dollar of $1.09. And to make matters worse, borrowing costs also spiked, with the yield on 10-year gilts jumping from 3.5% to 3.8%. In response to this, Redfield Wilton polling found Labour was still 10 points ahead of the Conservatives, although Truss was still a couple points ahead of Starmer on Best Prime Minister polling, enjoying an approval rating of +4. Then trading closed over the weekend, which meant no more movement in either the pound or gilt markets. But there was public outcry over the fact that certain measures in the mini-budget, like the reduction of the top rate of tax and the removal of restrictions on bankers' bonuses, seemed to disproportionately benefit the wealthiest in society. As such, with public sentiment souring, Labour's lead widened to 13 points, and Starmer opened up a 4-point lead in Best Prime Minister, with Truss's approval rating falling to -6. When markets reopened on Monday 26th, the pound fell to a new low of $1.04, and 10-year gilt markets spiked even further to 4.3%. By Wednesday, gilt markets had climbed to a new high of 4.5%, in part because pension...
If you're making Starmer appear popular by comparison, you have fucked up, okay? This guy is a real wet noodle, okay? Even during the fucking railroad strikes, he failed to adequately criticize the motherfucking Tory government, even after Boris Johnson imploded the Tory government originally. Like, I've never seen a dude successfully fail upwards as consistently as Keir Starmer, okay? Labour Party implodes. There's like the anti-Semitism allegations. We find out that was actually internally created, cultivated, and also was not addressed adequately, specifically to fucking send off Jeremy Corbyn, okay? Labour Party then chooses Keir Starmer. There's not a lot of, there's not a lot of hope for the prospects of the future of the Labour Party. People are leaving the Labour Party. They're saying this fucking sucks. Then Keir Starmer, Keir Starmer is just so woefully inadequate, okay? Because his job is not to actually win. His job, much like the Democratic Party, is to just maintain stability and also consistently lose to the Tory Party as they try to put on a strong front. He has shown time and time again that he's not necessarily on the side of Labour. He doesn't really give a shit about anything. And on top of that, he's not even an effective politician. Everything that has happened so far has happened because the Conservatives, the Tories, have been blowing their own shit up over and over again. I don't understand. I do not understand how lucky the Labour Party has gotten. I don't understand. Like, I feel like our Republicans would never do this. They would never. Our Republicans would never allow for this level of like incompetence to thrive within its party. Like, they know how to whip their ranks. You know what I mean? You're saying Papela, but I mean, look at the candidates. I think look at the candidates. Look at the candidates they're putting out. Even if they have dog shit candidates, they still have a way of like controlling the media, and they still have a way of effectively ensuring that like even their dog shit candidates who barely can put words together, like Herschel Walker, perform adequately. Herschel Walker should get no more than 10 points in any normal election, okay? Meanwhile, he's close. He's like almost in a fucking... He's in striking distance of winning the Georgia Senate leader... the Georgia Senate seat from Herschel Walker, who is and has been fairly popular in Georgia.
Pension funds were stuck in a gilt-selling doom loop, and the Bank of England was eventually forced to intervene with a £6.5 billion emergency gilt-buying scheme. Now, this provided some temporary respite, but Truss still refused to U-turn on any of her mini-budget policies, and after a series of disastrous local radio performances on Thursday, gilt markets started rising yet again. By Friday, YouGov polling gave Labour a 33-point lead over the Conservatives, which certainly isn't good for Truss. Now,
Raphael Warnock is a relatively popular person. Sorry, not Herschel Walker. Herschel Walker is just an idiot. All right, let's continue.
Redfield-Wilton polling did look a little better for her. Labour only had a 17% lead. But in that polling, Truss was still 7 points behind Starmer as best PM and had an approval rating of -14. Then on Sunday, October 2nd, Truss went to the Conservative Party conference, which is usually a pretty easy affair for new party leaders. Unfortunately for Truss, though, the conference was chaos. It began with a whole load of MPs, most notably Michael Gove, criticising her changes to the top rate of tax. And by Monday, she U-turned and reinstated the top rate of 45%, claiming that it had become a distraction. Unfortunately for her, though, this failed to placate the markets. largely because this only amounted to about £2 billion of the £45 billion worth of tax cuts. Obviously, the optics here aren't great though, and by the end of the conference, Redfield-Wilton had Labour on a 28-point lead, with Truss 20 points.
She tried to go full America, by the way, which is really funny. And you can never go full America. Like that, what she tried to do was literally what Republicans do all the time. Complain about the budget shortfall, complain about the deficit, and then offer the fattest tax cuts to the wealthy. Donald Trump did this, and America was like, thank you. You are literally the greatest. Ronald Reagan did this, and he's hailed as one of the greatest presidents of all time by Republicans and even by some liberals, okay? That shit, on the other hand, did not fly in the UK, partially because the UK is not America. They blew a 13-colony lead. We are the ones who control the financial, the entire fucking global finance through the dollar. We can make moves, we can make money moves on the dollar that the UK cannot. She thought she was him. She thought she was Himmy Neutron, and it turns out she was not.
Behind Starmer as best prime minister, and on an approval rating of negative 44, the lowest ever recorded for a sitting prime minister. A day after returning to Parliament at PMQs on Wednesday 12th, Truss ruled out public spending cuts to fund the tax cuts, which spooked the markets yet further.
Ethan was suspended, by the way. A few white supremacists successfully lobbied YouTube to suspend me, a Jewish dual citizen of Israel and USA, for anti-Semitism. Ben Shapiro and friends can virtue signal all they want, but ultimately they are the ones platforming dangerous anti-Semites. All I did was point it out.
In a desperate attempt to appease them, on Friday, Truss sacked Kwarteng and replaced him with Jeremy Hunt. Then on Monday, just 3 days after his appointment, Hunt made a statement which basically reversed all of the mini-budget. And in direct contradiction to what Truss had said just a few days earlier, he warned that spending cuts would be needed. While this...
Wait, this just came out? Shut the fuck up. Adam Curtis on the fall of Soviet Union's worrying parallels with modern Britain? No fucking shot. Did this just come out? Yes, it's called Trauma Zone. That's absolutely mental. That's bloody mental, man. That's bloody fucking mental. Adam Curtis. I told you days ago there's a new Adam Curtis shit. New Adam Curtis just dropped. Nice. Nice. Very nice. New Adam Curtis. Do I have a license for that? No. Will we watch it anyway? Absolutely. Absolutely. We'll be doing it. We'll be doing it.
This did calm the markets, with her whole project in the bin and Hunt clearly in charge. Truss's approval ratings fell to negative 61%, which for context is about the same as Prince Andrew, who's on negative 65%. Worse still, polling suggested that Labour had a 36-point lead and Starmer a 47-point lead on Best Prime Minister. This means that since the Queen's mourning period finished a month ago, Truss's approval rating has fallen 66 points, or just about 17 points per week. She's also gone from being 10 points behind Labour, which would translate to about 220 seats in the next general election, to being 36 points behind Labour, which, according to the Electoral Caucus, would mean literally 1 seat for the Conservatives at a general election. In other words, she's lost roughly 55 seats a week, or 10 seats every working day. Now, while this result is unlikely to ever happen, it's hard to see things getting much better for the Tories anytime soon, especially given that they're about to commit to a...
That's not true. I can think of a different way that the Tories could make a killing. Turn it around, if you know what I'm saying. I don't know. I don't know. Here comes Boris! He's back to save England! He's gonna save England, love, like he did the first time around. He's gonna get Brexit 2 done too. That's right, love. Here comes Boris. Bring back Boris. Bring back Boris. We love Boris.
Another round of austerity. All in all then, with her key promises failing, her agenda chucked in the bin, and a new proxy prime minister in place, it's easy to see why some are questioning why Truss is even still in number.
Oh, by the way, if you think that that's a joke, what I just said, you're very wrong. Boris Johnson is weighing up a stunning comeback, allies say. That's right, Boris Johnson, the most favored son of the Ottomans, okay? Boris Johnson appears to be on the verge of attempting a stunning political comeback. Allies of the former UK Prime Minister, who resigned in disgrace only 3 months ago, believe he will stand in the leadership contest that will follow the resignation of his successor, Liz Truss. 2 sources who worked on Johnson's last campaign for the Conservative Party leadership in 2019 said he would run again this time. Multiple allies have made the case that Johnson could be a unity candidate who could bring stability to the country, despite being forced to quit in July after a series of scandals made his position untenable. Asked how they could justify Johnson standing to be Prime Minister again, one MP who campaigned for Johnson in 2019 leadership campaign told CNN, "Socialists will destroy our economy, and if you don't understand that, then I genuinely fear for our future." Another MP who supported Johnson in 2019 said he was the only candidate who could comfortably win over both Conservative MPs and members of the Conservative Party. Now, of course, socialists will destroy the British economy, even though 10, 12 years of austerity led by the Tories have certainly led to the economic collapse you're experiencing. They are the ones who keep fucking up the economy and then turning around and saying these socialists in the shadows are going to be responsible for the inevitable demise, even though we are the ones doing it, which is funny when you think about it. How crazy and how similar, too. It's like, oh, man, listen, you don't understand. Socialists will destroy the country. It's like, brother, you're the one who's leading, though. What the fuck do you mean? Guys, I know we're fucking long dicking the economy, okay? I know we're long dicking the economy currently and have been for a while, but holy shit, imagine if the socialists came. I mean, that would be crazy. Oh, maybe it wouldn't. You don't know that. Hasan, you almost took a second to drop the accent there. It was sticking a bit. What do you mean by sticking? You happen to mean that it was my real accent that I've been hiding for many, many years as I portray myself as an Ameriboo, as one with the American population. That is my real voice. Yes, the Tory voice is my real voice. Yes, Ethan Klein has been suspended from YouTube. I did predict Ethan's ban. That is right. All right. Yeah, I mean, blah, 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 socialism, blah, blah, blah. The real reason is because they love Boris. They think Boris would be more popular. And I do think that they are right. Is it a perma or temp? I think it's probably going to be a perma. Yeah. And it wasn't the Leftovers episode that got him suspended. It was the prior one.
For 10. Regardless, as Truss and Hunt are quickly discovering, we live in an increasingly complex world where things are feeling less stable, especially economically. So it would be great if politicians were better at, well, decision making and finance. And they could do exactly that.
No, I didn't say perma. Someone else in the chat said perma. I'm not saying it's perma. One week.
The STEM learning platform where you can learn everything from quantum computing or algebra to logical decision making, a skill many are severely lacking at the moment. Now, Brilliant's logical thinking course might start simple, but it builds, teaching you logical reasoning skills.
Oh, did I say it? I'm sorry. I was reading a chatter. It's 1 week. I meant it's probably not a perma, but no, I know what it is. It's 1 week. Hope next week episode with Andrew can still happen. No, it can't happen anymore. Oh, unless we get back. No, they banned him after, so I don't think we'll be able to shoot leftovers. Too late, bro. It's already on Mogul Mail. Dude, he's going to be so fucking anti-Ethan because he's so far right. It's crazy. I have improved PMQs slightly.
The only mandate she's ever had is from members opposite. I've got the list here. 45p tax cut, gone. Corporation tax cut, gone. 20p tax cut, gone. 2-year energy freeze, gone.
The only time he's like popped off, by the way, even without the music.
Free shopping, gone. Economic credibility, gone. Her supposed best friend, the former chancellor, gone. They're all gone. So why is she still here? Mr. Speaker, the only mandate she's ever had is from
2020 tweet saying you will kill Soleimani and COD. You do you.